AI.
Businesses are now replacing entry-level jobs with artificial intelligence.
We're literally losing 40,000 jobs in America right now every week because of AI.
What if we're asking the wrong question? What if AI isn't just replacing jobs, but reshaping the future of human potential? In this episode of Collective Intelligence, we sit down with the people shaping AI to explore what this shift means for all of us.
The opportunity cost of not building right now has never been higher.
With that being said, it's time to kick things off. So I'm going to invite, we have, 4 awesome people joining me on stage. Catherine, you coming and joining us? So can I get my two teammates up here first? Round of applause for Catherine and AJ. There we go. And then I will also get up here. Can I get David and Caroline? All right, round of applause for them too. Grace, she's the one who's still stuck in traffic. She'll be joining us. ChatGPT hits in, November, December. Everybody's going crazy. Everybody knows this is gonna change the world. Take me back to where you were then and how you got to now. And ideally in under 2 minutes because we have lots of cool things to get to.
Check.
Is it working now?
There we go.
Tactically, when ChatGPT came out, I was living in London, and the first thing we did was write a lot of poetry with it, and that was the coolest thing you could do. But 2023, Chappie, this feels like a layup. I was in the apartment where, at that point, GAI.
We were the GAI. Yeah. You were there for like our second ever event.
Truly, yeah. I had landed in San Francisco. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I was working at a venture capital firm, and it became pretty clear that most all of our focus was going to be moving to AI. And all of my partners were like, "You're young, go hang out where people are building AI." And I was like, I literally just got here a week ago. I don't know where to go. And so I reported back to my partners. I was like, well, I found this party in an apartment. And they were like, well, don't be unsafe. Are you okay? And I was like, no, I think I'll be fine. And we showed up. And it was awesome. It was a small apartment, but it was safe. That's where I was.
Testing. Back in 2023, early 2023, I was incredibly excited because I'd felt this actually coming for a little bit. I was fine-tuning models. So, okay, a little bit of backstory. My brother and I started a company together, but we've actually worked together for a very long time on various projects. And he's 7 years older than me, which means that when I propose a product idea, his role is to say that's dumb. That's how things work with your older brother. So back in 2020, I told him it would be really, really cool if we could get a chatbot that talked like Yoda. And he was like, that's dumb. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna build it. So I was fine-tuning models back then and kind of paid attention to this space a little bit. But in 2023, obviously everybody knew it had hit, right? It was time. And the first thing that we did, I told my older brother, hey, look, we gotta do something. This is crazy. So we built this thing. We kind of hacked for 2 weeks right after GPT-4 came out on this thing called Taxi, which was an agent that operated in the browser, and it clicked and it typed and it was so cool. I got it to watch Netflix for me, and we launched that, and we got up to a whole bunch of stars on GitHub, and it went crazy. So. That was the first thing that we did, and it was 2023, so it didn't work, right? We abandoned the idea and left it on GitHub for everyone to use. But that's, it really felt like we were off to the races.
Gosh, all right. So I remember the day where ChatGPT came out. It was almost like the day that Michael Jackson died. I was like, I know exactly where I was, exactly what I was doing. I had just suffered an injury from Olympic weightlifting that left me temporarily paralyzed the day before. I had found ChatGPT, and it was like my Lord and Savior. No kidding. Where basically it opened up this entire new world to me because I was non-technical for most of my life. Still like a technical, non-technical person. We'll get into that later, I'm sure.
Technically light.
Yeah, technically light. Thank you. Low fat, technically light. But yeah, at the time I was in a hospital bed, literally just using voice dictation to talk inside of the chat, trying to teach myself about this amazing opportunity. Changed my life from there. Sorry for the next one, my bad.
Testing. Yeah, AJ, thanks. How do I come after that? 2023, I was actually teaching English in South Korea. I previously was in management consulting, but right when ChatGPT was released, I had an existential crisis because I was like, I'm going to become obsolete very quickly as an entry-level consultant. So that led me to go abroad to do some self-discovery, and I discovered, oh wow, I really am interested about AI, even though I have no technical background. But the great part was that, technical or non-technical, everyone can play with it and interact with it. So that's where I was.
Amazing. And then quickly, where was I? Well, hosting some of these events, bringing people together in my living room to try and make sense of this all, founders, researchers, investors, everything like that. I was also at Apple back then. I was on the Apple Vision Pro team, but was also part of the original Apple Intelligence team. We were trying to figure out what the heck to do. That was crazy times, and you see how that's turned out, and I'm no longer at Apple. Okay, so I look back here, and Caroline, you're no longer in VC. You're no longer in North Carolina. You're now at Vercel. David, you're no longer at OpenPipe. So take us to today and how you got to here, again, in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah, so originally, again, Memphis, Tennessee, went to school in North Carolina. So totally different world. It's kind of very on theme today's conversation of just kept following really good humans doing interesting work. So that's what took me to San Francisco. I was at a firm called True Ventures, which is a very early stage venture capital firm. And it was my dream job. And I could have done it forever. And it's a really, really exciting moment. And we were talking before this of I wanted to be in it. And I wanted to be pushed, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. And all of our founders were deploying on Vercel. And they were all starting to talk about V0. And I was like, what is this? And V0, as someone who's technically light, is an awesome way. It's a coding agent that enables anyone to build. And you can test it out. This is not a sales pitch, but it's truly, it's very powerful to feel the moment that you can take ideas that you've had in your head and see them on the screen. And so it was pretty quick. And I joined the V0 team in November.
Yeah, and you've been doing a fantastic job because I keep hearing about V0 all over the place.
It's just we had some wheat pasting. You can get people to wheat paste in San Francisco. We did that.
Thanks for the tip. So yeah, like I said, Taxi didn't actually work. It was a really cool demo, but that was all it was. And it felt like there were actually a lot of different apps that were kind of demos. So my brother and I, he'd worked at Y Combinator before, so I kind of wanted to go there for a while. So we went through YC, and we were like, okay, cool. This is, we're in YC. It's the AI moment. It's 2023. I think, we should build something really cool here. And we thought, what can we build that's really cool? And we thought, well, Taxi didn't work, but maybe it just didn't work because it didn't have the right prompts. So let's build a prompt studio. I bet nobody's building a prompt studio. There was a moment about 3 weeks into YC when someone on the shared Slack community asked, hey, does anybody have a prompt studio I can use? And I got it, I saw that maybe 15 minutes after they posted. And I was the 8th reply from that batch, from that section of the batch for prompt studios. So then we thought, okay, maybe people actually are building prompt studios. Maybe this is not a unique thought. So then we were like, okay, well, maybe changing the prompt isn't the right thing to do, but what if we can these models are just super expensive. Llama 2 had just came out, so you're like, okay, what if we don't change the prompt? What if we actually change the model weights, and maybe it'll be it'll be a lot cheaper. Maybe it'll actually be better in some ways. And we tried it. We tried it for one customer's task. We actually told everyone we launched this whole product before we had it. And a customer immediately signed up and said, yes, I need this. They were paying $1 million on inference, and we solved their problem in the next 3 days, and then we actually built the whole thing. And so yeah, then we kept fine-tuning more models.
Crazy. All right, we'll keep going to that. You just saw something that happened here, basically. Okay, so
musical chairs.
This is a launch event. This is a collective intelligence launch event. V0 also just did a huge launch today, so Caroline needs to go to her event to go launch V0. And normally she'd leave a bit later, but there's crazy traffic right now, so we're kind of going with the flow. AJ?
All I'm going to call it is just musical chairs, guys. This is startups at its finest, right? You got to be flexible.
Yeah, I'm switching with Chappie next.
Yeah. Start the track. Grace, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Grace Khan. I'm the founder of Smart Venture Media. I just want to say hi to you guys. I know that I got a few DMs that people that I know will be here. And I just want to say hi to everyone, the new friends and the old friends. So I'm a founder of a media company. It's very unusual because, you guys are expecting B2B SaaS in the agentic space, but But I do talk to a lot of people in that domain every day. So I host two like popular VC podcasts. One is called Smart Venture Podcast. One is called Venture with Grace. Every day I go live with a VC or founder or investor on my show. So we have featured C-level VPs of Google, Meta, Amazon, Snowflake, NVIDIA, a lot of big tech companies, as well as founder of Square, Loom, Cruise-Clean, a lot of like Craigslist, a lot of like well-known tech companies / tech startups, as well as partner from Sequoia, ACNC, Lightspeed, a lot of like big firms as well. And I'm so excited to be here because honestly, like the three of them is like some of the most cracked people in San Francisco, and I'm so thrilled to be friends with them. And I feel very unqualified to sitting on this chair, but I will just come through basically.
We just want to ask you questions, pal. It'll be okay.
Okay, sorry. I just like, literally I had a major workout like right after the BART station. I was like running. People thought I like grabbed someone else's bag, but it was just my little bag, and I just started like running, and then people started laughing at me. So, but I made it this far. So
I noticed you didn't say I was one of the most cracked people you knew.
Yeah, come on,
I'm
come
so
on.
sorry. Now we just met each other. Okay, like take some time. But anyway, I'm sure you're very cracked if we're on the same stage. So
He's got to be, right? Yeah. So one thing that we also want to call out for today is that a lot of the questions that we're going to be asking in this session, you guys actually submitted. So everybody who RSVP'd to this event, you guys actually put in questions. That's going to be kind of the talking track for us, is to figure out, hey, what do you guys actually want to know? And of course, we'll do a Q&A session at the end as well. So I have a very tough question for you guys. I'm not going to give you a layup in the beginning.
oh God.
So one thing that we're really big about at AIC is we really try to be the human layer, right? We try to sit above the models, above the technology. We think that the most important thing that we can focus on is what are humans' role in the AI era. You guys are approaching it from different perspectives, right? From code as well as from capital. So maybe if you want to say just a quick word about like, how do you guys see humans' role in your field over the next couple of, we don't have an 8 ball, so I'd say like maybe a couple of months, maybe a year, but take it away.
I'm sweating. You first.
Okay. I mean, so I started as a software engineer. My official title is now product manager, but I mean, most of my work is just software engineering and training models and such. I hardly ever code anymore. Like it is rare. It is actually rare for me to get into the IDE and change the code myself, even if I know exactly what to do, right? I can look at the code, I can like see the change that needs to happen. Maybe it's very simple, but just to ensure that Claude Code has consistent context, I'll ask it to make the change anyway. So. There are definitely areas where Claude just doesn't have sufficient context to make the change. And so like, you know, every once in a while you write custom code. If you're writing CUDA kernels, which thankfully I don't do, but you have to write custom code because they don't have, you know, they don't have the context. They don't have the training. But yeah, I mean, I think for my field, I think everyone on my team is going to be more of a product manager. In the sense that they'll come up with things that need to be done, and then they'll kick off a process, and Cloud Code or a similar tool will do it for them.
We'll definitely double tap on that later.
Humans' role in this thing. I think a lot of it is just like intuition. So I would say like primarily like these days I feel like human is like a supervisor basically. So I chat with, though I'm not like a primary coder myself, I don't identify as a super technical person, but a lot of my friends are like, oh, if by lunchtime we're not using either Codex or like any kind of a coding tool to like code something, they feel like it's a waste of their time. So everybody start being this kind of like architect of like a multiple agents. So I'm sure there's like a bunch of agents that are just kind of like building on top of each other. The agent orchestration layer of things has been like very vocally expressed by VC that this is something that people want to invest in this year. So I definitely feel like human become like a quote unquote supervisor, but I do feel like a lot of the most nuanced things are still like going to be depending on human. So for example, every day, an email that you write or kind of like the human relationship that you're building towards, whether it's like for business or for your personal relationship, everything still has like so much context and nuance. I don't think AI can solve that part very quickly.
Maybe Sonnet 5, we'll see.
I'll jump in here next. So we talked about a little bit of the future, but in the age of AI, things change on a monthly, daily, hourly basis. Thinking about like the last maybe 3 to 4 months, is there anything that has changed, like that you've changed your mind about in like the past like 3 to 4 months? And what specifically changed?
I went first last time.
Oh God. So whenever I start talking, people start leaving. So I'm like mindful of the audience here. Okay, so what changed? So honestly, I feel like the most interesting thing these days is like literally maybe 3 days ago, my mom sent me like a TikTok, be like, these days like the agent have their own social network. That's something that I'm just like, I don't even know how to react to it. It's like, should I be happy that they have their own social network? They're healthy and
You're talking about Moltbook?
Yeah, Moltbook. Oh yeah, Moltbook. Yeah, that's her name. It's like it's on Facebook. It's like Moltbook.
Show of hands. Who the hell knows what Moltbook is? Okay, there's a reason why you guys are at tonight's event. Okay, got it. Copy. Please continue.
You're like relaxed. Yeah, I feel like that's something really interesting. What changed my mind about it? I just felt like it's moving a little bit in a direction that I wasn't sure it's gonna go, because I was thinking that like, instead of we're having Moltbook, we could have something more useful. I don't know what that is, but just having an agentic social network with only
But it's entertaining.
It is very entertaining. Like if your mom sending you a TikTok like at 2 a.m., like that's the next level of interesting. So
I'm impressed that your mom is on TikTok.
it's like the Chinese equivalent, okay?
Okay, no, I get it. I have been shocked at how high agency Opus 4.5 is. I knew it would come eventually. I did not expect it to come this soon in 2026, or I guess late 2025. I'll give an example of things that I just assume models would not be able to do that they can do now. We have as for reinforcement learning, we sometimes use evals as one of the reward functions, and so it's very important for these evals to be aligned with human judges. Like the eval has to actually be right, otherwise the model will learn the wrong thing and learn it very, very well. And so what we've been doing is using Cloud Code to create a Streamlit app, from scratch for labeling, for a human to label, and then it labels a bunch of these binary evals. It's like, oh, this is pass, this fails. And then I just asked Cloud Code, the whole thing's Cloud Code from end to end. I asked Cloud Code to align the eval. And it's graded 100 samples, and it will look at the samples. It'll look at the false negatives and the false positives, and it will find patterns, and it will update the eval on its own, and it will rerun over and over because I give it the requisite permissions. And it's like, this is something that I thought a human would have to do, and humans hated to do, so I thought we'd just forever have misaligned evals, which we have historically. But all of a sudden, you actually get aligned evals, and it's all because Cloud Code, which was not built to align evals as far as I'm aware, can just do it. And it's shocking and very exciting, but also a little scary.
Yeah, I think you guys have definitely heard AI is going to eat software, right? We've been hearing that in the echo chamber for months to years. I also would agree in the last maybe quarter or so that you can ask the team, there's days in which we don't open the browser. We are just in the terminal all day because why else would you go otherwise? It is the most efficient place to be. So I think that's one of my bets that has changed. Sorry, I know I wasn't asked the question, but I'm going to hop in because it's interesting. That is one of the bets.
Well, okay, I'm going to keep following your thread, and actually, I'm going to give you two a break from answering first. AJ, I want you to answer this first because I think I'm going to give this away. You are one of the people who is most on top of AI. You write multiple daily newsletters. You're all over the place. You're keeping on top of all the technology. I'm going to start with you, and then we're going to go down the line. How in the world are you keeping up with everything that's going on? Maybe people have seen Carpathy's tweet, which lives in my mind rent-free, that I've never felt more behind as a programmer than I do now. I feel that every single day. It feels like it's impossible to keep up with even the names of these things, with the Claude, and then we're switching to Molt, and then we're switching to OpenClaw. Things are literally changing every single day. How do you keep up?
That's a good question, man. So this is my principle is I'm going to die by experimentation. I'm going to try new things every single day and commit myself to that. I think that a lot of the times I'll literally just look through, I just live. I live inside of the AI sphere, okay? But to give some context behind this, I've now written about 713 articles as of today. I have, in the last 2 years, I've tested about 2,500 different products, and not just like tested it, but like actually dove in and say, hey, can this beat what I'm currently using?
He's had 4 different note takers going for some of our meetings at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Is there any difference of these note takers?
Yeah, so this is not a paid promotion. Lindy is my best friend, is the first AI that I feel very strongly and personally about. So take that for what I'm gonna say. But back to the question, like I think-
I'm gonna change your mind after this. I'll show you a new one.
Okay, excellent. I'm always open to experimentation. This is real practice. So yeah, I think like the way in which I stay on top of the trends is really just to commit myself to trying new things every single day. And I do think that the number one thing that is most important right now is adaptability. For example, let's say that you're the most technical founder in the world. If you put your head into the sand and you don't emerge for 3 months, you're gonna miss so many things and so many opportunities and new tools that could make outsized impact on your business. So I think it is a responsible use for everybody who's on the cutting edge to continue to stay there. So that's my own personal take. And then writing the newsletter is a forcing function for me to pay attention.
So that's very impressive, what you just said. I would go insane, honestly, if I did all of that. But what I do is I have friends like AJ who do all of that. And then I'm in group chats with them. And I listen to them talk to each other. And I pick up what, like, so usually, like, there are a lot of things that pop up, you know? They pop up once and then they never show up again. If something pops up once in the group chat and then it pops up 7 days later, then I know it's real. And so I outsource. And thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Can I be in a part of the chat? Why is our group chat only just like a photo of me or something? Oh, wow, okay. Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
How do you keep up with everything that's going on?
Keeping up. Oh, God. No, we invent the trend, okay? So, like, I feel like I'm the worst person at keeping up on something because I feel like I'm so distracted and so ADHD. So I think, like, one thing is definitely follow the AI Collective newsletter and the events, and especially pitch and demo day. That's where the trends are invented, okay, guys? The other part is like, you know, I do feel like chatting with a lot of my podcast guests are like where I kind of like force myself to input a bunch of content because of like a lot of them are obviously very intellectual. They're on like 5 different podcasts and then they have like their own newsletter. So I kind of like consume a lot of their knowledge from social media as well as like these kind of media channels. I think one of the things is very similar to what AJ says is like you have to really get your hands dirty to try these different tools and you can really get a hang of like what's working, what's not. And I feel like content diet is very important. Really paying attention to what you put your mind through is very important. I do feel like, yeah, I think that's about it. If there's any else.
You could just follow Peter Steinberg and like you're miles ahead. The OpenClaw founder. It's not really a founder because it's open source, but whatever.
Okay, I'll go next. Well, going more into like the future and predictions, Grace, you were recently on a webinar that we did with Matt Wolf and Jeremiah Owen.
My favorite webinar.
That was really fun. So what are some of new emerging trends that you are seeing right now outside of like Moltbook, OpenClaw?
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say Moltbook, but I think there's like 3 trends I'm seeing. I'm a small angel investor, so sometimes I put tiny checks into companies I find very interesting. So I think there's like 3 trends I'm personally very excited about. One is like physical AI. So I'm an investor of a little robotic companies called, I shouldn't say they're little, they're not very little. So it's called Imanco Robotics. So they are essentially doing robotic hands in the hospital. So nurses are spending 30% of their time transporting from one room to the other for like maybe one piece of medicine or something very small. And in this case, like this bot can just help you precisely picking up the medicine to transport into a different room. I don't really picture my grandchildren is gonna still like have human to feed them something, transporting from one room to the other. So I feel like I'm just saving humanity by, following and investing in this company. And so that's like physical robotics is one trend. The second one is today, there is announcement of Ditto AI, which is now I can finally talk about. I'm a small investor in them. So they are a famous dating company out of Berkeley, and you have comments.
Nope. Also,
Infamous,
AI
no.
Collective, Demo Day, alumni.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love that. So you guys have a lot of famous alumni. I love that.
Including David.
Wow.
Very famous, very famous, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so basically I feel like AI will help human have more like less screen time. So a lot of the AI, people are thinking about like, oh yeah, it's ChatGPT. You're like literally staring at a screen and then it's just nonstop. But I feel like a lot of the AI companies, especially in the dating space for some reason, like people stopped requesting you to swipe on people. Though that was my favorite thing before I was, I'm married. But yeah, anyway. So basically, I feel like people are really treating AI as a tool these days than just like letting AI controlling every single aspect. So they are using AI to help them meet new people and, being a part of a new social network and expand their horizon. And then number 3, I would say the trend that I'm seeing right now is the context layer of things. I'm an investor of a company called Hyperspell. Yes, last year they went through a YC. They are basically building the context layer of things for AI. So essentially, all your different personal data are sitting across different platforms like Slack or email or any type of like social media. But this company can help like AI having all the context layer for their different tools. So I see the huge trend for like open and Anthropic as well. So whenever I ask them a question, I don't have to put in I am doing blah blah blah. I am who, and like now I could just like start asking the question. They already default with some of my basic information. I feel like that's kind of the context layer of things. So that's some observation that I've seen in the AI industry in general.
I'm going to jump in on that. One of the things I think I'm fascinated but also very concerned by is hardware, right? Getting into physical robotics. I think, there's so much economic opportunities that have been unlocked with AI that I think, sometimes my personal opinion is that we may be moving a little bit too fast into that realm because that is going to be the next epoch of unlocking economic opportunities. So what do you have to say to people like that are like, maybe we don't need to get too far into robotics? And I know you're an investor, obviously, so hot takes only.
God, I'm gonna get canceled, but I kind of feel like the robotics companies so far, what I've seen, none of them are like at the human level. So none of them are like moving like this. And then when they're folding laundry, it takes them 4 minutes to fold like one piece of clothing. It's worse than me. Like, so what should I worry about? Hot take, anyway.
So maybe premature.
A little bit.
I think they're going to get better pretty quickly. I think the economic incentives for robotics, I actually agree with both of the trends that you said, but I think like the economics incentives for robotics in particular are just so much higher now that we've sort of built the brain and now we just need the body and then a huge, like a really, even if you had the best, actuators or whatever in your robot 10 years ago, you couldn't really do anything with it. But now if you do get the right body, you can actually do quite a bit. So I think there's a ton of investment. Yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think you're right. It's going to change the economy.
Oh, so positive. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it just equal parts scared, but I definitely agree. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm terrified. I don't want to. Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a question for the audience that will lead to a question here. Compared to 12 months ago, yourself now, are you spending, hands up if you're spending more time on social media than you were 1 year ago? I think I'm probably spending slightly more time on social media. Okay, it's a vast minority. Okay, so raise your hand if you're spending less time. And that should be, okay, most people are spending less time. I'm assuming that means less time consuming. How about, okay, raise your hand again if you're spending less time creating on social media. You're outputting less on social media, there's less going on to your social media. Okay, so that means most people are spending, hands up, you're spending more, or you're creating more on social media. Okay, so, I will say slightly more people are creating on social media, less people are consuming on social media, which is actually kind of exactly what I would have expected. Who here has heard of, I'm hoping that a lot of you have heard of the, let's say, dead internet hypothesis, dark internet theory. You look at the internet today, I think maybe Twitter is one of the worst, X is one of the worst offenders right now. I believe I saw that over 90% of all content is generated by AI on X, on social media in general. They're not really helping with being able to do unlimited free image generation right now. It gets harder and harder to be human on social media. One more thing I'll say, this literally changed last week, is with OpenClaw. I don't know if you've noticed, but I will say that like I'm part of this arms race dynamic that it's hard to keep up with the content creators who are creating so much. And we just saw, okay, the majority of people are creating more content, but consuming less content, that there's an arms race to create more content if you want to stay relevant. And the whole internet sphere just gets overloaded with content to the point where you can't trust that what you see online is real or fake. There are a few comments that I sent today that actually my OpenClaw sent that I didn't send. I'm sorry, LinkedIn people.
LinkedIn people.
So what do you think social media looks like in a year, let's say? What do you think the internet sphere looks like in a year? Grace, you're all over the internet. You're all over social media. Have you thought about what that looks like in the next year or a few years?
I just think about what it will look like in the next few months. And this is so I was on a panel with the founder of Higgsfield. I know that he used to
Alex. Yeah. He came to one of our first events.
So basically one of the founders, what he said was one of the two pieces of video that you're seeing in the next few years is going to be generated by AI or have some sort of AI component. I think it's 90%. Which part is not AI? So for example, if I do a podcast and use Opus clip, is that AI or not? It is generated by an AI. AI picked the interesting part for me. But I did the interview myself. So it's kind of it's really hard to define. I think it's very similar to social media. It's kind of similar to you have a bunch of bots that's on the internet trying to grab something. But in the past, I would argue in humanity, in the past, these executives already have an assistant to post for them. So it's not something new here. I feel now it's just more people having the access of having an assistant, though it's AI. It's not a human, but it's doing the things that a human would let another human to do. So I don't particularly have a really negative feeling about it. I just feel we just have to evolve with it. And then obviously the other day I saw a video about OpenAI's new hardware project. It sounds this is just rumor, right? I don't know anything, but
Don't get me started.
Yeah, wait, do you guys know anything? So basically there was the pen, there was the glasses, everything could be an AI device these days. So I'm just really interested in knowing what's you guys thought on the hardware side of things. What kind of hardware would actually powering AI? Is that Meta glasses? Hi. Yeah.
Speak of the devil. I think yeah, exactly. Speak of Meta. There you go. Hello. One thing that I'm deeply passionate about is I think we need to figure out what the next form factor looks like for AI. I do think a computer interface is a little bit outdated considering that it's been an interface that we've been using for 20, 30 years, and yet, intelligence has proved at such an incredible rate. I think wearables are the next, particularly the Meta glasses. I think that one of the things I'm excited to see is how do we blend the human experience with augmented AI? How can we use that to then, like you said, develop better relationships with people? How we use that for our own productivity in our lives? But it doesn't come without any privacy concerns as well. I think that's my other, the devil's advocate thing in the back of my head, which is, if we are really everybody starts to use AI wearables and that becomes the next edge, and we're always looking for the edge, right? We live on the cutting edge. Does this force us into a world in which everything is being fully documented and we have no longer a sense of privacy? And we may, argue we could already be there. We could have been there a couple years ago.
This is such an interesting question because last week I had the guy Kawasaki who is, the core. He's the marketing legend, so he helped market the Macintosh, Canva. He has 1 million followers on every social media platform. And basically his biggest concern, he published a book on privacy and using Signal. He said use Signal will solve the problem of being monitored and stuff. Plug for Guy because, if you're watching this online. So yeah, I feel that's, I feel like it's so interesting because coming from a marketing brain, like I don't care about privacy. I should say this publicly, but it's already on the internet. I'm on the internet every single day. Like, what should I do? Like, I can't really take down all the stuff. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Actually, I would spin it a different way to you guys. And actually, I'm going to open this up for everybody. I think this is really interesting. Just my own 2 cents. Does Maltbook accelerate the social consumption or creation of media? Right? For example, there's a world in which you can say that, hey, majority of what's online has been AI generated. And with the presence of something like Maltbook, maybe there is more of an incentive to create an AI native platform rather than on a human native platform like social media. So you could run with that argument, or you could also make the opposite, which is, hey, it's never been easier to create AI content online, and therefore that is going to be an accelerant.
Is it easy or hard with Maltbook? Hard, man. Like it's like the agents are already consume agent content here. Like, what am I supposed to consume? Like the agent content? Like after agent having a chat, and then I consume the agentic node from the agents, like the TLDR from the agents, and then like I don't know. That's like literally 7 layers processing. Like
Grace just said, insert agent 14 times in a row with minimal buffer word.
Yes.
Can see what the current buzzwords are. I have 2 requests for startups related to this for everyone in the room. The first is Meta AR glasses with local models that run on a laptop in my backpack. If somebody builds that, I will be your first customer. That would be amazing. The second is a social media platform that uses AI to navigate it, such that you can state your preferences. And there's going to be slop on the internet. You can't get rid of the slop on the internet. It's going to be there. What you can do is remove yourself from it through the filter of your own personal AI to curate your own content. And I think someone's going to build that. Maybe someone in this room. Hopefully, please.
That's what my OpenClaw is doing. Thank you much. No, literally, like my OpenClaw literally goes through all of my LinkedIn and my Twitter feed, because like my personal philosophy is I want to create more than I consume. So it basically goes through all of my feed multiple times a day, like on an every hour increment, comes back, surfaces the things to me that are like, hey, these are the things that I think you might find interesting. Tell me yes, no. And then I use it, I basically call it my tastemaker. So that is like one of the functions.
Okay, AJ already built it. Never mind. Sorry, everyone.
Well, I feel like the Maltbook is sort of dystopian Black Mirror episode. I also think it's a little bit gimmicky too, and it's a reflection, it's a mirror of us too, of our consumption, because it was later found out that people were just sending their agents to post the content to create the viral moment. But then Chappie's question earlier about the consumption versus creation of media is being called into question a lot, especially with changes that we're seeing in the trends of dating and how people are meeting. It's not the endless swipe and scroll, but more intentionality. And I think all of these trends are convening to a point of having us evaluate how we use our time, because right now, everything has been a fight for attention. Like the attention economy is very, very valuable. Meta, it's revenue from ads, because they have created the endless scroll and algorithm that keeps you baited in. So we're seeing more and more cases of startup founders that are innovating ways for us to be more present, more active in the real physical world rather than the digital world. That's maybe why Metaverse didn't quite get off the ground as well. Not saying that it won't ever, but something that I want to ask everyone, including Chappie, is something that through the productivity gains, AI unlocks for your personal joy and satisfaction. What is your ideal world when you are the 100x engineer like Chappie or the 1000x GTM growth hacker like AJ? What does that perfect world look like?
Oh God.
Maybe we'll start with David.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. I guess we're actually approaching this world right now. It's very interesting. I have a friend who's studying to be an orthodontist right now. He's in his 2nd year. He's graduated bachelor's, whatever. Now he's studying to actually be an orthodontist. And he has this idea for an app. And I don't have his permission to share it. And also it would take a long time to share it. But basically he's got an idea for an app. It's to sell to orthodontists. there are not that many orthodontist patients in the US. It's like 6 million people. So it's like not the kind of thing that anyone's built for in the past, whatever. But he came to me and he said, hey, can you build this? And I was like, man, I'm kind of like doing things in AI, but okay, sure. And it, like the thing that he needed was very complicated. Like it's, you know, you have to create a treatment plan and then you have to be able to like create templates and then templatize and assign it to different patients, whatever. It's like, it's not a trivial app. It's not like a web page, whatever. It's got a whole database and a lot of different moving parts. And I just had Claude Code work on it for 2 weekends. I just worked on it over 2 weekends with Claude Code turning away, me checking every 15 minutes to see what it had done and give it further instructions. And it built the whole thing. And it's actually a really great experience. I use it for fun because, well, okay, the joy of building something, right? But it's like, it's actually good. It's a good product. And I guess that's my ideal world. Like, I want to be able to come up with ideas. I want to feel useful, so I don't want it to come up with all the ideas. I want to be able to come up with ideas and then have it execute. And you know, and then ideally I make a lot of money as a result. I mean, that'd be great. But I think like, yeah, post AGI, post scarcity, then just like coming up with ideas and seeing them brought into fruition would be really, really cool.
Yeah, from one technical person to another, Chappie, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. Last Sunday, I very rarely pull all-nighters. I'm a very regimented person. I got so stuck in Claude coding that I pulled an all-nighter for fun. I just kind of forgot that time was a thing, and I like got finished with what I was working on, and all of a sudden it was 4 a.m., which is when I normally wake up. So I was like, what in the world just happened? Everybody's heard of flow, right? Nihai, or is it Nihai Csikszentmihalyi? I can't even pronounce his name. But the concept of flow, being right on the edge of your capabilities. I know for me, I get into that more easily than ever before. Coding is the way that I do that. Sometimes writing, but mostly coding. When you have 5 to 10 Claude Code sessions running at once, you never have to look at Stack Overflow anymore. You're always jumping from one part of the code base to another, and you're right at the edge of your capabilities. It's literally addictive. Like, I know that there are other things that I should be doing in the day, but I end up Claude coding instead. And I almost can't get away from it. It's like actually kind of bad at this point. But it is also so much fun. And in a world of abundance where I don't need to worry about doing those other things, I would love to just Claude code all day. One more thing I'll add to that is I was watching some video or reading some article on the concept of disposable code. The idea that the cost to develop software is dropping dramatically, asymptotically to zero. You can just solve problems now, one shot basically. I wanted to build a website to show all my book notes. I was able to do that in the span of a few hours. Go check it out, books.chappieasel.com. That you can just build like small things like that in the span of a day. It's just so much more fun as somebody who knows what they're doing as a software engineer to go build all these different projects you've always wanted to build and clear out your backlog of ideas.
I'll just quote somebody who's far smarter than myself. Andres Kaparthi literally tweeted the other day, and I hate to reference a tweet, but he said, the opportunity cost of not building right now has never been higher. That's it, man.
Too scared to actually drop the mic in case it breaks. Yeah, it's funny. It's like you said, it's kind of a Jevons paradox. I don't know if you're all familiar with that, but like, so you would think that as something, like as coding becomes much faster, like it takes far less human input, you would think that people would spend less time coding. But I found that I actually spend more time doing it because the marginal, the cost is lower and the marginal benefit is so much higher. And so like what you end up with is a lot more code, a lot more products, a lot more things being done, rather than like, okay, now I'm going to do the same finite amount of things, but do it much faster.
Who read that article, by the way? The article that went viral, was it a couple weeks ago? Jevons Paradox for Intelligence by Aaron Levy. Show of hands? No. Okay, it didn't go around as much as I thought.
I didn't read that either. I feel like I should.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
I'm sorry. I guess I need.
I was obsessing over. Okay, go search it up when you have some time. Jevons Paradox. Yeah, we'll create a group chat. I'll send it. Jevons Paradox for Intelligence. It like completely changed my mind on the future of AI and what it means for society. Very insightful article. Continue.
I think to double down on that, one question that somebody wrote in the audience, and I actually think that I wanted to save this for the end because we're just about to wrap up. This is by far, in my opinion, the most important question that we've asked so far. I don't want to butcher it. How are you thinking about durable moats today, and what the hell actually matters? Grace, take it away.
Oh, I have an answer: speed. Because I feel like nowadays the only thing is speed, and like maybe GTM, but yeah, sorry, coders. Basically, I think like every technical mode that you build today, like the longest will be 6 months. Like someone will copy you, and someone will just like build like a better product because the AI itself is growing into something even more effective. And nowadays, I feel like it has never been so important to, as someone who's like not like graduating with a computer science degree, I personally feel like it's our moment to shine. As like I feel like GTM is everything. Like you really have to build a distribution mode, whether it's from content or from event like this or from like the relationship that you build from like other encounter with other human being. And I feel like distribution is everything. And in the end of the day, I feel like speed really just win. Like I made a video about this because of like people are asking me how do I do like a conference and stuff like that. But I just literally felt like it's like my idea to execution is literally between minutes. I'd be posting a video like literally just like right after like I chat with someone and they're like so like just like shocked by like how fast it was. So I personally felt like as a builder in 2026, the only thing you can win is like just having speed and build like a good go-to-market. I know it's like two things, but.
Just to double tap on that, you guys, I think it was one of the questions that was like, what is your vision of the future? And you said like, we're almost there, like we're kind of living in it. My vision of the future in one sentence or less is a world in which idea to execution as seamless and speedy as possible. That to me like is the flow.
And then the thing is there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I basically have the same answer as you. I think speed. So maybe culture, a little bit of culture if you're working with a team, because even today, even with all these tools, teams are still faster than individuals if you have the right team. So a culture of moving really, really quickly, experimenting quickly. Probably also brand to some extent. If you've done that for a while and people trust you, then like when you release a new feature and someone else releases the same feature the same day, they'll use yours. So there you go. There's the go-to-market.
I have a question for David. So like, since you work at like a big company, so I'm just curious on your thought on the team. So like today I got a question from someone. They were asking like, do you believe in like the, one person billion-dollar company? That's my question for you all. Chappie, you can also answer.
I'll answer first. I think if you have the right person.
Oh.
That's a good response.
Yeah, well, part of it is Jevon's paradox. I think you put it so well, David. The fact that you can leverage yourself up more as a software engineer than ever before, as really a builder of anything, of companies, of music, of literally of like content creation. More than ever before as an individual. AI can be the ultimate democratizing force. I sincerely hope it will be the ultimate democratizing force. Really what it is just the ultimate force multiplier. And that can be a democratizing force. It can also be what helps people, the people who are already ahead get even more ahead, and the people who are behind fall ever more behind. And I think both are true, but how do we move more people from one camp to the other?
Catherine.
Okay. I think it's just a responsibility for all of us as individuals to decide the future that we want to live in. I think it comes down to that. If we want to be in a democratic future where our voice actually matters and that we have a society that progresses and lifts everybody up, right? That positive sum mindset that Chappie brought up earlier, it starts with us taking the decision to think not just on behalf of our own personal interests, but for the interests of the collective, no pun intended there. But it is really a responsibility, and I think we need more corporate social responsibility and thinking the long-term game, because I think that a lot of capital interest is just thinking of the short-term gains rather than the long-term civilizations to come, right? We didn't come out of here from nowhere. We didn't just spawn here. We have legacies and ancestors from many generations that have brought us to this point where now human and artificial intelligence are converging in interesting ways. And I think that all of us being informed is a great start, and being aware, empowering other people to use these tools to elevate and improve themselves, like Chappie was talking about, but then also figuring out and aligning of what the global governance and value system is. Don't want to give away too much that I'm coming from DC, but I flew in from there just yesterday. That's what we're talking about over there. I have to say, just for the folks in SF, the rest of the world thinks about it so vastly different than people in SF. And I just want you to keep that in mind as you're building, as you're thinking about applying the technology, because there's so many people on the other side that aren't thinking about it in the same way that we are.
Can I ask one more question, or like it's too late?
Last question.
Let's go last, and then we want to hear from the audience.
Oh, yeah, okay. The audience, yeah, sorry, guys. No, I was just curious, like, what does people in DC think about?
Or do they think? Do they think? Answer that question.
People are scared. People are scared about China. People are scared about this race, this AI arms race. Walking outside of the metro, there's all this military-industrial complex plastered all over the metro. So it's like the AI industry in DC is more militaristic, more government-oriented. We're actually doing a demo night next Tuesday, which Chappie's coming over blessing us.
On Capitol Hill.
On Capitol Hill, literally in the Capitol building, with members of Congress, legislators there. And when curating the pool of demoists, I was kind of, like Groundhog Day. You're kind of like living the same thing over and over. But that's just the market there, because it's proximate to the powers that be and the legislators. So it makes sense for that. But people on the street, and at least in the AI Collective chapter in DC, it's a pretty balanced mix of perspectives. You have the people who are I'm not too worried about it, let's accelerate. You have the people who are more on the AI safety front, or, let's pause. And then you have everyone else who's just not that aware and don't really care that much either. So there is a world out there where there's more than just people who are living, breathing, eating AI every day.
I'll just tell you guys a quick personal anecdote. Where I'm from, actually, because you're also from Seattle, from Pacific Northwest, I've literally hosted events where people have gotten their cars broken into and gotten assaulted because they've attended an AI community event. So just to put it in perspective, that we're in a blessed place to be here right now. This time, this place in the world is such a blessing to be. And there's a lot of the other communities in the world that I think may get there in due time, but there's going to have to be a different approach than it is here in the epicenter of the AI world.
Wow. I have no words. I love Seattle, though.
Okay, now we want to hear from the audience, because you guys have been so great to listen here for us rambling on out. Yeah, please. So if you guys have a question that we did not get to answer, please go ahead and raise your hand. Cyril's going to go ahead and pass these around. Just make sure you target who you're trying to talk to, otherwise we'll all respond exactly at the same time.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for organizing, and thank you for the very interesting conversation. I'm Henry. I was born in China, but don't be scared, because I come from Australia, very small island, just 10,000 kilometers away. Yeah, and I just came here a couple of days ago. I'm a membership of the World AI Organization of the United Nations, and I coming from with the chief scientist, Dr. Frank. He and his partners built up this organization 7 years ago. Their mission was building decentralized framework of AI, where compute is shared and the data is owned by the contributors, and also the governance is enforced by the the community, not the corporate power. So I'm also the co-founder of AIX Space, not SpaceX, which is focusing on the building up decentralized AI compute infrastructure. So we believe that AI is no longer limited by the algorithms. It's increasingly limited by the physics. So our belief is simple but fundamental. The future of AI is not a bigger cloud. It should be the edge. And also AI compute should not be the privilege of a few giants, but a utility for all. So actually my question is, I keen to listen to you guys, your opinion for the future of the infrastructure of the compute. Yeah, thank you so much.
Should I talk about compute because I'm at CoreWeave?
You have to.
The future of the infrastructure, I think, you know, it's one of those things that's very difficult to predict. I guess I'll just say a few obvious things. Right now we're limited by power. We are limited by GPU chips, but only because the manufacturers know that we'd be limited by power. So the hardest thing at CoreWeave, the thing that, this isn't my job, but this is what I hear people talking about all the time, is like, how do we get more power contracts? How do we, like, can we build, for instance, a power plant? Like, do we need to go to that extent? Can we get, you know, are there any power plants that we've overlooked? Is there a crypto company that, you know, just folded that owned a data center and maybe we can take over their data center and get their power contracts and retrofit it? So I think the biggest thing is power, energy generation. That's a large part of the reason that so many data centers are being now built in the Middle East. You've got a lot of solar panels. You've got a lot of oil as well. And in the United States, that's a large part of the reason that we haven't built more. I mean, we're building quickly, but like CoreWeave would be building a lot more if we had uncapped power. So I think that's probably the biggest question. Talking about like shared governance, I'm 100%, like, I agree with you. I think it would be wonderful if everyone had access to compute. And hopefully there will be providers who add that. I think realistically, you know, we live in a free market economy, and so whoever can pay the most gets the compute. CoreWeave in particular is extremely constrained. They say no to lots and lots of small players because they have deals, very lucrative deals with big players. Obviously, us being acquired was part of them moving towards smaller players, so hopefully we'll change that. But yeah, I think the reality is right now we're limited by power in terms of the amount of compute, and the people who have the most money are usually the ones who get that compute.
Well said. Very well said. Yeah. I think one additional thing, if you guys want to find a way in which this is in practice today, would be looking at the UAE. They were able to roll out a national sovereign compute program where they were giving access to GPT for every single person who is a citizen of the UAE. There's not been many other nations to follow, but if you guys would like to see how that's in practice today, it would probably be my best use case. Great question.
Hey there, Jarrett. I worked in tech pretty much my whole career. I felt like I was falling behind, like most of us, and have come full circle. Right? I'm fully indoctrinated into the collective.
Yes.
By the way, thank you for putting this together. So I think education, workforce development, a lot of these big topics right now, especially with people who are either on the younger side of their career, older, are super important. So this is helpful from a thought leadership and maybe collective, getting people together, right? So I'm just more curious. I have my ways of learning, so I think if you guys could share maybe where you go to for actual education and like how AI and like there's a lot of good channels out there, or maybe some things you're thinking of as a collective around shared education and like keeping people up to date.
So we have Collective Intelligence. It is an online education program that anybody in the world can attend. The Collective Intelligence today is like the first live edition of this. We do host weekly seminars every single week in which we bring in not just thought leaders, but actual experts in the space as well. These guys are all experts, but the whole purpose of Collective Intelligence at the webinar level is because we want to give everybody access to this regardless of your geographical location. So I'd say that's a great resource to check out in. And actually going back to what you said earlier, I would say, same as David, like I try to look at the people that I think are the most intelligent in the space and say, where are they they consuming their information? I'm somebody who learns from practice, but I think that would at least put me into the right signal. But yeah, we have webinars every single week. I did one earlier today about OpenClaw. It was the first time that we basically overran the, I'm not going to speak of the company, but we'd used this company in order to do all of our streaming, and we literally almost crashed it because it was so well intended. So yeah, come to more stuff like that. It's a good place to learn. It's almost like we would be building a particular piece of software that would help solve that problem. Huh, interesting. Great.
Up here. Oh, push back there. There you go.
Hi, Joshua. Nice to meet all of you. It's wonderful. I love this. I walked over here from my workplace and walked up basically like 6th Street. And to get here, I came to 6th and Mission. And 6th and Mission is a very interesting part of the city. It's a little, I guess we say nowadays we would call it spicy. It is, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of drug addiction, a lot of just severe marginalization. And as I was walking to this AI meetup, I was like wondering, well, is AI for the destitute? Is it for, like, we were talking earlier about, like, hey, I can just like build all these amazing tools to make my life easier. Is there a way that these people who are not really represented here, what do they have access, what could they be using that they are not using to be making their lives more positive through the amazing technology that we have here? That's a good question.
Yeah, I know that Trappy and others may have their responses, but my response is more about the civic society and the social safety net, because I think that there's an incredible amount of wealth and resources that is pouring through San Francisco, but it's only going to like YC companies, it's going to like venture backed. It's not going to the Main Street people, like everyday people. I would say that government modernization would be one place that I would want to start at. Like if we're thinking about like AI and applying it in the tech space, that's where I'd probably want to start, of modernizing our government to be able to be more rapid response, to be able to take social programs and run them more efficiently from a program management perspective, or even digitizing things like e-learning, workforce upskilling, rehabilitation programs, AI-assisted therapy, things like that. But I think the core of it is that it needs to be a civic investment rather than like a single player experience, because the people that are there right now are probably not thinking about these things either. It's gonna have to come from more of like a community perspective and more of like the responsibility of the local government.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do a longer answer, so you go.
Okay. I do have good faith in the government in due time, although I'm not a very patient person. So one thing that I actually did in my life, and I highly suggest that others in this room do as well, is I offered pro bono AI consulting to marginalized populations. I only worked people that were minorities, people that were typically in small businesses that had no funds to pay me whatsoever. And I did that for quite a bit of time. And there was no gain that I received besides just changing people's lives, which is, again, just the small things. But I would say the reason why I'm talking about this is not for righteousness. It's just for like, my opinion, cannot wait for government to come around to their senses on this. The best thing that I think people in the room that have technical abilities and skill to do so is to offer that as a service to the community. We need to lift each other up.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna, yes, that deserves an applause. That deserves an applause. Okay, I'm gonna give you something I've seen and been thinking a lot about, and then two different possible answers. One is the Great Uncoupling, or WTF happened in 1973. I think it was 1972. You can go search it up. It's actually a fascinating website that has hundreds of graphs showing something important happening in 1973. Now, there are various theories as to what exactly happened. Like, we moved off the gold standard, and many different things happened right around then. So there's not one correct answer. The first graph it shows in that website is, and why it's called the Great Uncoupling, is the uncoupling between labor productivity and GDP growth. As in, we keep producing more output. We are generally more productive as a society than we've ever been before, but the value that accrues to labor versus capital is ever decreasing. And that trend continues to today, is labor becoming increasingly less valuable, less powerful. So where does this go? Okay, two different answers. The cynical answer would be techno-feudalism. There's a good book on this. You can read about techno-feudalism, which is basically you have these massive trillion-dollar social media platforms. You have these techno-feudal lords who own the platforms. You get to use the platform for free, but you're paying in other ways, right? You're paying through your data and maybe more broadly through your attention. And any human has attention of various different value, but you do have attention, and that attention has some sort of value. How do we actually make sure that some value is actually given or accrues to that attention? I'm not going to say go give every homeless person a smartphone. That's not the right conclusion there, but go read the book. I think it's very fascinating. He talks about how do we look at upgrading our even capitalist systems to get right to the root of it. Second answer is Sam Altman's actually already answered this. He has a manifesto he wrote, kind of less known, back in 2022, called Moore's Law for Everything. Talks about this exponential increase in technology, all the stuff we were talking about, what was it, like an hour ago, and I was introducing. What he says is that we should have a tax on capital. As in, for all companies over a certain valuation, I think he said 100 million or something like that, 1% of that entire company's market capitalization gets taxed, gets put into a sovereign wealth fund, and then redistributed as universal basic income to everybody. That's how you concretely solve the great uncoupling between labor productivity and capital productivity and redistribute some of that wealth back to people, everyday people. So that's Sam Altman's answer. I tend to like that one most. You can go read both of those, the book and his manifesto. Those are my very complex answers.
I have a quick request for a startup for anybody in the crowd. I would love if somebody would build an education platform that charges the user, and that every module that you complete, you get a discount off of your subscription. So the more that you use it, the more that you don't have to pay for anything. It's not going to help the people that don't have money to put into the bank, but for those that are desperate for education, it might actually be one of the best incentives. If you're building it, let me know.
I would use that too. That'd be pretty cool. I actually really like, I guess, speaking of how we shape this for the correct future, I really like that this AI collective exists and the conversations that we're having, because I think, like, I train a lot of models using reinforcement learning, and you have to have a reward function that corresponds to the outcome that you want. If the only reward function that our government or that private actors have is like, hey, how do we make more money, or how do we make people who have a lot of money happy, then guess what? We're going to become a society that makes people who have a lot of money happy. And that's just like, I mean, that's, you can kind of tell that's what has happened. The only way that's going to change is if there is actually a reward function that corresponds to the well-being of people like us, or just like everybody, right? Because we do live, we're racing toward a future that could be absolutely incredible, and we just need a little bit of steering. We need a little bit of a reward function to make sure that we reach that future.
And that's not GDP per capita.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jeremy here at the front. I'm a visual artist, a painter, and I'm very interested to know your take on human creativity and the use of the hand and the eye, old-fashioned art, in a sense. I'm actually a digital painter, but that's fine. And AI, and where that intersection will produce something unique and productive. Because, I mean, I'm interested in this, but I haven't got the answer, and I'm very excited about, by the way, this community that you're creating here, but I'm really interested in that. One other sort of maybe connected was I noticed on the graph you showed that its human adaptive capacity was on a downhill slope. And I'm not sure exactly what that means and if it relates to creativity, but if that's connected to this question, I'm curious. So thank you.
Yeah, so I can start by answering that directly. The reason that I have that, it's by no means scientific. And I said it could be slightly superlinear, as in it could be increasing. I put it as decreasing primarily because you look at things like polarization, the dysfunction of our government, things like trust being at an all-time low, the loneliness epidemic. Do we feel like we're adapting more quickly and more effectively, or do we feel like we're becoming more sclerotic, unorganized, generally maladapted? I would say the latter. That's why I have it slightly going down. I would also say generally when we're dealing with more complex systems, our human brains are fixed in evolutionary time, right? Like we're not gonna 2x our brains like Moore's law every 2.5 years. That's just not how things work. So as we deal with increasingly more complex systems and the frontier grows every further away, to even contribute to the frontier, you're having to work your way up all the way there, and you're dealing again with look at how long like the legal code is now, for instance. Dealing with all of that, it just becomes harder and harder to get any real progress done.
So I'm a musician, artist, dancer. I love all forms of the arts. I've been doing them since very, very young age. At first, when generative AI, Suno, voice AI, all of these things came on the scene, I was thinking kind of from a doomer perspective, oh, is this the end of creativity? But really, no, I don't think it is, because you will always, as an artist, have something to say, and you will have a need to release that. So I think that as an artist, you can see AI and generative tools as an augmentation, a way for you to accelerate your creativity, but never as a replacement, because your voice, your intent matters a lot.
It is, hot take, it has never been so important in history to be a great artist. I'll tell you the reason why. How many people ship code today? Okay. How much of that was like super tasteful, 11 out of 10, was not any slop in there whatsoever? We're going to close eyes. We're not going to pay attention. But I would say that this is something, we were talking about the distribution mode, I think is so damn important, is in a world in which we have abundance and we can have unlimited amount of output, what is the differentiator, right? Is it the fact that you obsess about the user experience? Is it the fact that your taste is so refined from building over time that you have something that's in your brain that you know is going to be standing out from the rest of the products? So I'd say, like, I'm not sure if you call that an artist, but I do think having taste is probably more important than ever, and will continue to do so. I would take a bullish bet on that.
I do feel like it just help you explore like a new different side of things. So for example, like I identify myself, I'm an okay dancer, but I'm a terrible singer. But right now, I think my best performed Instagram video is like a rap video of myself generated by AI. So
I want to see that.
Honestly, people loves it. I feel like I'm Nicki Minaj in like the video basically at this point. It was, okay, is that bad? Okay, let's, oh, sorry. I'm not really following pop music trend. Okay, bad. But anyway, okay, remove this part, people, please. You didn't hear anything. Okay, so basically, I feel like I'm very popular as a singer. I feel like that's a vision I never had for myself.
Can you sing for us now? You have a microphone.
No, I literally have to use AI. I'm the worst singer of the entire universe. Like, literally, people die from me singing, so no.
It's incredible taste.
Okay, maybe.
Any burning desires? Because we might have to shut it down after that last one. Let's go. Last question. If anybody's got a hand or anything burning.
All right. So I have a theory that having started a company between 2020 and 2025, years down the road will be known as the worst time in the history of the country to have started a company. What do you think of that?
Does that include 2026?
Interesting.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Works well for this guy.
I have theories as to why. I just wanted to pose the question first.
I think is the question, will it become ever better over time?
I think like David, as an exited founder, you should steelman his case.
Steelman it.
Oh, that works too.
Actually, yeah, I'd be curious to hear more context.
Yeah, I just think that any company that has started in, maybe like 2020 to 2024 maybe is a little closer to something, but I just think that there's gonna be this huge swath of companies that are at like 15 to 150 employees, let's say, and they're just going to be swept by because they're moving at the speed of humans as opposed to a 2 to 3 person team moving at the speed of AI. They can just look at their idea, have AI build it in a weekend, they understand marketing and scale, and they just whip by them. And so obviously there's your exceptions of like the unicorns and people headed towards that, but I think there's this middle area is just going to be, it's tough for a founder because all founders are like very action oriented. Like they're going to be like almost have these handcuffs on of like, they can't just be a jerk and fire their whole team, even though deep down they might be feeling like, geez, I want to like get in the mix with this thing where these 2 people companies are starting. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think is going to happen. So yeah, does that help explain it better?
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Well, okay, to be clear, OpenPipe raised a bunch of money, and we hired a total, including my brother and I, the co-founders, of 8 people. And every single person that we hired was at a higher bar than anyone who'd worked at Palantir or Qualtrics or anywhere else that I'd worked or that my brother had worked, which includes Google and Y Combinator. So we were incredibly selective, and that made hiring hard. Like I think we probably went through 400 first interviews or something to hire those 8. But that meant that as the AI tools changed, we had the right people. Like they got it on their own. In fact,
Maybe like a 50-person team would probably be, because then
Yep.
get the bloat of like happier devs or like really resistant to AI.
Yeah.
That's part of the core.
yeah, but I mean, so like over half of the team had started a company and raised money before. They were the founders before they joined us. So I think, I guess it depends on the team. So I think you're right. I think if you set yourself up for a startup, in the same style that you would have in 2016, but you did it in 2022, that's probably tough. Maybe a lot of those people will get fired, which is very sad, of course. Hopefully they can start their own companies. But yeah, I think what you're saying is going forward now, it's obvious that you don't need as many people, and so you set your company up differently. I think that's also true, and people are.
It's really unique, like small piece of time where it's like, what's going to happen to that,
Yeah. Well, I think founders will adapt. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think so too. So can I answer this point?
It's fine by me.
It's collective intelligence, man. Go ahead.
I could be completely wrong. This is just a question I want to.
No, you're not wrong. But I run a 26 people team, and we're not using AI in every part of our company. We were not. Last night we had a 4-hour conversation amongst the 9 core team members on how we want to change the face of the company, where everything has to go into an AI mode. Every AI tool has to be adopted to every department. So to your point, I don't think I'm going to die. I think I'm going to adapt. And I think most of us who are AI first founders will be doing that. What do you do? And I think the people who founders, I have a true belief that founders never lose. Yep. VCs are going to lose a bunch of money, but founders are going to get up and create a new company on their own. Yep. So I think all the people who did it in the last 2 years are the ones who've learned how to dig oil when we learned how to dig an oil well. And I think those people are going to adapt faster than the rest of the people. And these 2 people companies are very limited crowd, because we're sitting in San Francisco, we can say, oh yeah, I know somebody who built a company and got to $100 million ARR in 6 months. How many people do you know in Africa who've done that? So it's just this very small community.
It's about how the foundation of it was built, is what I was getting at. And I'm pro-founder as anybody, so I don't even want it to be like
No, I don't think you're not pro-founder. I'm just answering your question very objectively. That I think this is an evolution. And I also think the same thing about art, by the way. An artist may say that, I paint on canvas. So
We'll adapt to it.
5,000 years back, also, there were artists who were painting walls. So maybe art is the reflection of society, and AI art is the reflection of society today.
Cheers. I think just to summarize, and we'll finish on this point. You said this in the beginning, my friend, which is that it's the right teams, it's the right founders. So yeah, is it going to be infinitely easier to build startups in the future than it was over the last period, especially for the majority, the bulk statement of startups? Sure. But will the right teams continue to adapt? Will the right teams, dude, that is impressive as hell. Going through 400 interviews to hire 8 people, majority of which have already raised money as founders. That is damn impressive. So yeah, I think the right people and a lot of people in the room, a lot of people who showed up tonight to learn about this stuff and to also engage with the community, that's probably the right people, man. So I'd bet on you guys. And with that, thank you for coming and betting on us. Appreciate it.
Wait, can we take a group picture from this end? Okay, so you have it.
We're gonna get a quick picture. Everybody get ready to be part of a picture.
It didn't happen if it wasn't on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
You guys want to come out? You guys want to come out for a picture?
Let me take my picture with you guys first. Oh.
Well, we get a picture with everybody first. We're getting quick, or else we gotta get it quick.
Got to.